something I found out. About 99% of your properties that you look at,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're a developer, or urban planner, or a broker, are unqualified. Like you don't buy
Mhm.
100 properties. We find out like our clients will look at about 200 to 300 properties, and they'll only buy one property a year.
Welcome to Untitled Planning. I'm Alex, and alongside me is Sammy, and we are the hosts of this platform. So thank you for joining us today. Today, we're exploring the world of urban planning, AI, and property technology with our guest, Devin Tu. Devin is the founder of MapYourProperty, or MYP for short, a revolutionary real estate tech startup in Toronto. Part of the Techstars Colliers PropTech 2018 program, Devin leads one of the fastest growing prop tech startups in Toronto. With MYP, he's created a Zillow for real estate and land development, simplifying planning and development processes in the Greater Toronto area. Devin's expertise spans over a decade in public policy, housing, and real estate, with a passion for creating smarter, more efficient cities. So let's dive into the future of urban planning and AI with Devin.
Welcome,
Well,
Devin.
thank you very much for having me on. Really excited to be on this podcast.
Thank you for coming on. I've been following you for a while on LinkedIn, seeing all your posts, and it's very informative and very cool to see the rise of AI and planning and housing and everything. So it's really cool. So our first question for you is, maybe can you introduce yourself a bit more and tell us about your background and what led you to start with your work in the intersection of AI and planning?
Yeah, well, I'm Devin Tu, and I'm the founder of MapYourProperty. We have a nonprofit affordable housing division called Affordable 360, and a subproduct called Construct 360. So you guys can look at that. But all these platforms are looking at streamlining pre-development real estate due diligence and affordable housing due diligence. Kind of same assets, but really trying to be able to deliver homes faster to people and be using technology to get rid of all that regulatory red tape to be able to understand those ideal housing sites. And I mainly started it like everyone else. I'm an urban planner, land use planner background. I've worked for both the Australian and the Ontario government for Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources as a land use planner. And maybe 10 years ago, I would be looking through these binders to figure out, hey, does this allow multifamily, or is it a floodplain, or is it in the middle of a wetland? And it'd take me hours going through these binders. I know tech has changed where you can look online, but still, I think a typical housing development can trigger up to 27 different regulations, even more than that. But and that's where I started this technology, was like, why doesn't a computer check all these regulations, right? And then it's a tool, it's not a solution, to help planners, and we even have affordable housing groups, be able to make decisions and be able to screen out poorly qualified properties in a matter of 30 seconds. And that's where we're today. I'm pretty excited about that. And we cover all major cities in Canada now, including the East and Western Canada. We're still releasing it slowly, but we mainly cover GTA and Ottawa. So excited to see it coming to fruition. And of course, as you mentioned, Colliers and Techstars, VC in the States, has backed us, and Colliers is one of the biggest brokerages. So that's really helped kind of expand and figure out, how prop tech works. And of course, we're testing out some AI stuff.
And so, in terms of MapYourProperty, it's been described as one of the leading, fastest growing prop tech startups in Toronto. So, can you share the story of how MapYourProperty started, and what inspired its creation?
Yeah. So we launched the idea. I quit my job at the government, and then I started my company, actually kind of with like Ryerson or TMU DMZ, out of that incubator. And we started grabbing a lot of our first customers were like thanks to Andrea Delzato, who came and spoke for us at the Colliers Prop Tech. She's been supportive, but like Tridel, and we worked with a bunch of other big developers. Then we expanded to lawyers. I didn't realize lawyers were a great customer, but they do a lot of the municipal law and approvals. And then we have a lot of those 7 sister-like firms. And then actually brokerage takes up a lot of percent of our commercial side. So it kind of evolved. It got bigger. The areas that we covered got bigger and bigger. Actually, brokers who sell and buy land for those big developers are one of our biggest customers today. So it's kind of changed. And then during COVID, we really started supporting affordable housing. So a lot of our expansion and support is from Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation, which is the federal housing division. So we got a big fund for that, and we've started expanding into Alberta. We're in Ontario. We're doing some testing out in Vancouver, and actually some groups want us to start looking at affordable housing, helping them out in Halifax, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. So that's kind of the expansion evolution of Map Your Property for both commercial and affordable housing.
Interesting. Well, you call Map Your Property the Zillow for real estate land development. Could you walk us through how Map Your Property functions as such, and what sets it apart from traditional methods?
Yeah, I kind of use the Zillow for the US investors, but it's kind of like a realtor.ca for land development or housing development. So like realtor.ca, if you're looking to buy a house or lease a house, you can just go into the simple website and type in any address. So Map Your Property, very in that mind thought, it's 3 clicks. You go to mapyourproperty.com, you search an address, you click a property, just like with realtor.ca, and you can see all the different zoning, land use requirements, nearby developments, and it can pump out like a report just like realtor.ca in 3 clicks and under 30 seconds. And that's what this kind of online, 3-step platform process is kind of where we're streamlining stuff, where say somebody like you, traditionally, what I did was I'd go find the binder and I'd gotta look for what page or what index my property's at. And then I'd go to the city to verify. Sure, you can look up the zoning online, but then there's the official plan, urban structures, there's right of ways, there's massings, there's floodplain checks, and you have to go to run around the city and check different regulations. And we try to really put it, as we say on our platform, all in one platform. How do you get everything all in one, get all your checklists done in one place? And yeah, we've done some, not AI, but ELT, which is big data pipelines that can aggregate that data. We do updates for developments, every day for Toronto, because there's so much activity going on. And then other data sets, we automatically update 500 data sets every month or and sometimes every 2 weeks, right? There's no way I could do that. I think a lot of monkeys or me, a lot of like, we calculate 40 staff we would need to do what we can do.
Whoa. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking, I'm kind of curious, like, what's the time being saved with this process pre your tool that you've kind of created to post your tool from someone using it like a real estate broker or whatnot? Yeah,
I think it can save like some people who just starting out, like we give it out for free to students. This kind of stuff, all this stuff would take 2 days. I've seen up to 2 days. And then sure, if you're a senior person, maybe it can take a reduced 30 seconds to an hour, or 30 minutes to an hour. But it's really that, what if you miss, we call that the $1 million mistake. Like your person, you check all the regs. What if you forget one, right? So we had a client who forgot the flood area, which is a different regulatory body, and he missed it. And that's what you call $1 million mistake, is that it's in a flood area. You can't build on it. The site's still empty today, but our program, it does not replacing a urban planner, but it's going to do your checklist for you. Sure, you understand some local stuff, but it's that $1 million risk. What if you forgot that one regulation that changes everything? Right. So that's where that really helps a lot of groups, is that multi-million-dollar opportunity. You find this opportunity that you don't personally know of or see. You can't look at millions of properties, or you make that $1 million mistake, right? Those are the two kind of.
Yeah. So you still need that. Yeah. So you still need that knowledge to avoid any potential mistakes, like the floodplains, or
Well,
Was the
we'll check the flood, we'll check all the zoning, we clip everything to within that property. But remember, there's 27 different regulations. So,
Yeah.
and in some situations, it can be up to 40. So if you don't check all, if you check 26, which is what happened, and they forgot the
Yeah.
flood part, then
Mhm.
you haven't done all your checks, and it's
Mhm.
so we're not gonna. We kind of say we're like a quick, we're like a QuickBooks. Like
Mhm.
you're gonna use QuickBooks to get a general idea, but you're not gonna like file your own corporate taxes without an accountant, right? But
Yeah.
it's gonna, like today, QuickBooks eliminates like a lot of that dirty, annoying, cumbersome stuff, right?
Mhm.
And
For sure.
the lawyer's gonna still be there, the broker's still gonna be there, but just makes life a lot easier,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Can you quantify it in time being saved?
Yeah. So we think we can, a very senior planner can save about an hour per property, right?
Okay.
Mm.
And I know this from asking our customers, up to 2 to 3 days. Like if you have a junior planner, it'd take 2 to 3 days for them to find all that information. We do it in 30 seconds. So
Wow.
that reward time is very fast, right?
Yeah.
That's great, and it makes that planning process a lot smoother. And one of the biggest problems we have in planning, or one of the biggest complaints we hear, is people are always, uh, it's a long process, right? Like a lot of things take a long time, and so people are like, this can help accelerate a lot of things.
Yeah, actually, think about it. Like this is something I found out. About 99% of your properties that you look at,
Mhm.
whether you're a developer, or urban planner, or a broker, are unqualified. Like you don't buy
Mhm.
100 properties. We find out like our clients will look at about 200 to 300 properties, and they only buy one property a year, right? You just
Mm.
don't have enough
Mhm.
money. Even the big Tridels, the Mintos, the Madamies don't buy. They do buy a large amount of property because it's so big, but they're not buying like all the time. So you're only looking at 1%. Only 1% is qualified. So we use our platform to disqualify. Most properties are not viable at all, and you want to
Mhm.
disqualify all that. That's kind of what we found out, which is surprising. I realized that after talking to them, is that most properties don't make sense, right? They don't qualify, so you're not gonna buy it, and you're gonna get rid of it, and that's a huge time waste, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, one of my questions, and you kind of touched on it already, was about like students and yeah. Actually, we'll jump into it a bit later, so maybe I won't give a spoiler to then. But another question I had, because you were talking about how you would need a team of 40 in order to do all this, but you've reduced it down evidently to like a fewer. So I'm just curious, how big is your team in order to handle such? Yeah, how much? Yeah,
We're about 6 people, including myself. So
yeah,
technology just saves a huge amount of time. We
yeah,
did do a business case. We were looking at like LA and how to do LA, and it was like 40 people, about 1.5 million to manually
yeah,
acquire those maps, acquire that data, and like trace it. And I was like, my board was like, you can't, that's too expensive, right? That doesn't
yeah,
make sense.
yeah,
So yeah, we really had to use, now we press a button, or the button that we don't even press a button, it automatically runs
yeah,
monthly, and it just goes through all the data sets now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
much easier. People always ask me that. They're like, I don't believe you can grab all that, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't believe you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was making the joke, we have like 500 students or monkeys or whatever, like just grinding,
Yeah.
and like, no, that's not possible. That would never be possible, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe you can like clarify it a bit for me, because
Yeah.
so you created a software that scrapes the data to then make it functional within MapYourProperty and Construct 360 to be easy to access. Instead of having the 40 people, this tool does it on your behalf. Is that how it
Yeah,
functions?
that's a good summary for, I think, your audience. Kind of like we can talk about what AI is going to do, but we scan all the different city and provincial and federal servers that are public. They're all public
Okay.
data, and then we'll aggregate all that, and we'll clean it on these cloud systems. So and then we can stream it like Netflix into into our program, or other, we're streaming into some other 3D massing, or other, Colliers might have their own program. We can stream it like a Netflix,
Mhm.
You know, you only request one movie, so you only need parts of the movie to stream. Same as with our data, we only stream in what you want, and that's why I think that's technology has changed where the streaming concept makes it easier. Like you're not sending like the old school days. I'd send you a big hard drive or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how technology makes life easier, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So speaking of Construct 360, so we want to ask a bit more about that,
Yeah.
especially because there's this focus on social impact and housing for those in need. So how does Map Your Property, contribute to this mission? And if you can explain a bit more about Construct 360 and what you're up to there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So thanks for mentioning that. Pretty passionate about that. So our affordable housing program, which is supported by Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation, is Affordable 360, and then we have a subproduct called Construct 360.
Mhm.
And what it does is we're working with government housing providers, nonprofits like a Habitat for Humanity or Michael at Blue Door who supports homeless or transitional shelters. And we're able to look at a site with them and then be able to identify the planning. If you allow multifamily or high dense residential, we can do design, 3D massing, do the floors, do the roofs and stuff like that. Pretty cool technology. We're partnering with a group in Australia, and then we can do the construct 360, which is cost estimate. So we can,
Mhm.
this is going to cost you about $15 million, right? This is how much you have to raise. And it gives them a better idea end to end on how much housing is going to cost them and what the complexities are. And we worked with a group in Calgary, and they're literally using our kind of tools to go to council, and they're showing the renderings, they're showing, hey, this complies with zoning, and this is how much it's going to cost. Can you save us money on parking requirements? And so I think we helped them knock off maybe $1 million in parking requirements because it's next to a train station.
Mhm.
So really excited about that. We've been doing that for about a year and a half. We're going to continue our work. So I think we should be able to accomplish helping about 1,200 units,
Wow.
get off the ground toward that construction. My goal is to do about 5,000, but depending on the government's funding, but excited about that, right? That's one of the biggest challenges today.
Yeah. What kind of shift do you see will happen from that?
With affordable housing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is affordable housing nonprofits do not have big development teams. They don't even have urban planners, right? So they don't have a 10-person team to go figure this stuff out. So it's a lot of what we call chicken and the egg. They go, we don't have enough information to start building. How will we go raise funding? Should we raise funding? But I don't even know if I could build here. So I think that chicken and the egg, we really have crunched that down. I actually know a group they hadn't started the project until they started working with us, and as I said, they started already, going, okay, now we're confident. We talked to council, they said yes to. They got up to 7 stories now instead of 5, and they have no parking. They're way more confident to go fundraise and start. I think they're going to try to start that summer or fall. And when we talked to them, it was an idea. So really think we're trying to shrink that timeline to building affordable housing for low income, and they're doing and transitional or homeless kind of type of shelters or homes. I think really just trying to get those housing built, right? You guys know it takes forever to get something built, right?
For sure.
Yeah. It's really interesting actually, because so like in my day job I work at the Infrastructure Institute, and we run this basically an accelerator under what we call the Groundwork Initiative, and Groundwork really emphasizing the fact that we're working with nonprofits and trying to educate them about how to do social purpose real estate. So whether it's affordable housing, but it can also be other mixed use developments, so like cultural centers, daycares, all these different things. But yeah, like you touched on one of the major issues where it's like, this is a big project, like we have a vision, we don't have a whole urban planning team, so we're here to like us at the institute, we're here to support them and giving them that knowledge, because we have architects and urban planners and different folks that can academics that can help, and we bring in other folks like yourself and other like developers to help explain more about the process. But that you touched on is that there's these small organizations with big dreams with projects that require a large portfolio of, you need a lot of money in order to get it started. So there's a lot of mitigating those risks and understanding the cost is really important from the onset. So I can see how something like this would be really helpful in terms of giving a group the confidence to be like, okay, this is happening. This is approximately what it will cost. This is how we can work backwards to try start raising that money and actually hopefully bring this project to life. So that's really exciting.
We should work. Yeah, we should work together. I should pop over, and that's great that you guys have something like that. We're working with a few groups just to address that. But I love that idea that you guys are able to help, complex. Exactly. They have great sites that are very complex, mixed use, and they don't have, like, when we work with REITs, they have 8 different development teams. So they call it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they have five planners and finance and accountants on each team. And we know, most nonprofits don't have that. Some of them are full volunteers, or they got one staff.
Yeah.
And I think that's some great work you're doing, and hopefully we can feed into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You got some talking to do after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Great pink wall in the back there. I can't. Mine's a fake background, but that looks like a great.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's real. Pink room.
So one of the follow-up questions. So what are some of the challenges you've encountered with the intersection of policy planning and technology? And on top of that, how has MapYourProperty addressed these challenges? So I guess those are 2 different questions. Like, what was the intersection? Let me re-say this. Sorry. What are some of the challenges you've encountered at the intersection of policy planning and technology?
Yeah, that's a great question. We grapple with that every day. I think policy planning, most of it they've gotten better. But when I started the firm, it was all PDFs or paper-based. And those are very hard to digitize, especially draft planning policies are still PDFs. So Durham official plan was some scanned in low resolution PDF, and it's very hard. It's like you're trying to zoom in on your property and you're like, is that dash a wetland or is it a urban area? Like, you can't tell, right? They're black and white sometimes, right? So those are kind of I would say Canada and the suburban areas are much more behind than the US, right? US, you can get any data very quickly. Some are still behind, I'd say by equal, but especially the suburban areas. But those are the tough parts, especially people are trying to make decisions or informed decisions or feedback on draft policies or recent policies, and those aren't digital. And if you're looking at a whole Durham region and you're trying to understand what properties you could in the future build on, I think that's very difficult to do. And I've seen people make mistakes sometimes too. So that's where I see it's getting better, but Ontario and small municipalities still releases PDF. I'll give an example. The Greenbelt removal. I had COVID and I was hallucinating a bit, but they released it all as PDF. And it was so controversial, and I had to hand draw them while having a high fever. But that's a great example. They did. I don't think they wanted to release it digitally, but that's an example of policy is still traditional paper based or PDF based, and when 2024, right? But
Interesting. And then on top of that question would be, how has MapYourProperty helped with the policy aspect of things? Like, how does that help the user experience?
Yeah, we're two parts. We're able to rapidly digitize PDF maps very, very quickly. We don't hand draw them. We're able to extract a lot of data straight from the PDF. It's not using AI, but it's using some image recognition stuff. And so we're able to get draft policies out and be able to inform the public. It's just like, the Greenbelt. The Greenbelt was a bit difficult. That one was different, but Greenbelt removals, we're able to get that and inform people. We actually calculated about 90% of all government or Greenbelt lands were owned by developers before it even got released. And so there's no real housing potential that had already been planned. And so you can get informed very quickly and be able to understand the potential for housing or condos or real estate in any new areas that have expanded. We also track even minor amendments, development applications in almost real time. So you're getting that information almost instantly. We do update for, say, Toronto applications every day. And every 2 weeks, we release all the new development applications. And we checked, and all the other groups, there's big data intelligence companies, they have 40 people in the room, like Googling this stuff or manually going through council minutes or just manually tracking it. I've seen the offices, it's crazy. They got rows and rows of people just manually doing this work. And we just automate it, right? And that's kind of the game changer we see here. And other prop tech stuff is just that fast automation for data and information. So you can now make information right at your fingertips. You're not running around in circles.
That's great. Are you in discussions with these offices? Is that right? That have these lines of people just manually doing it?
We might be, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was like, oh, we could, there's still, real estate is an old industry. They still is like, we have to verify it. I was like, yes, of course you have to verify everything, but like, how are you going to track? I mean, I think Toronto has 2,000 development applications and they update daily. There's no way you can, unless you have 40 people, and I guess they're okay with that. But there's no way. We're expanding to cover the whole GTHA, and we can talk about AI, how that's going to help out. But there's no way you could track all developments across GTHA or even Canada. You can get as many people as you want, but you're going to miss something, right? That's what I keep saying. There's no way a human can track everything, right? So
very true.
And so, jumping into the exciting topic here, which is AI and urban planning. But then the first question, and we've touched on it in different ways. So there's been a lot of discussion about AI potentially taking over jobs in various industries. So do you think that AI poses a threat to traditional urban planning roles? And if so, how can planners adapt?
Yeah, I don't think I think it's overhyped that you're gonna get your job. You're saying you're gonna replace a certified professional planner for an AI bot. I think the technology could get there, but I don't think it's close to replacing a job. I think our tools and AI will make your job more efficient, and it'll eliminate all that cumbersome work for basic information, right? Like, instead of me going through I think Toronto zoning is 800 pages, right? And me trying to find the exact, usage, you can use MapYourProperty, or we created this cool AI bot that you can just type in your request and it'll go find it. But, you're not gonna replace a planner for that, right? The planner has to interpret and make decisions on the local context. So I think that's, I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think that's an overhyped thing. Same as QuickBooks is not eliminated accountants, right? QuickBooks can track your bank statements. They can input all your bank statements in, right? It can reconcile automatically in some situations, but there hasn't been like less accountants recently. So I don't think
the fall of accounting.
It's overhyped. If you actually, I called somebody out on this. If you actually try an AI and you try to do, like, let's say for your group, you'd be like, I have this mixed use site, like, what could I do on it on ChatGPT? It couldn't tell you, right? So it's not there yet. I think once again, it's gonna be more efficient. It's gonna make your life easier, right? Right? Just like the internet has made your life easier and Google has made your life easier to find information, but it's not gonna replace your job, or you're not gonna be like working part-time all of a sudden because your AI can find this. I doubt it.
Yeah, the way I've viewed AI, especially with the rise of like all these different like ChatGPT like forms and whatnot is, I view it more as a calculator than anything, and
Yeah.
you can't just, you give it the kind of formula, the idea, the concept, and the information, and it can help you not even guide, but maybe just help you like refine what you're kind of thinking, and guide maybe your thoughts, or someone to kind of just bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
And that's about it, because otherwise, like, I've seen really bad usage of it. Actually, both Alex and I have seen really bad usage of AI within the work that we've done, and
it can hallucinate. I was at a conference. I'll tell you this story. I was at a conference, and this sales guy was trying to sell like no tomorrow, right? And he said, we can get all your your SharePoint data, and it can submit a CMHC loan application to build affordable housing for you with 99.9% accuracy. And that's totally false. Like, we've tried it.
Yeah.
It will hallucinate. It'll make false statements. It'll try to guess, right? And it would be the worst application ever. Like, it can help you rewrite sections. I've written like 3 paragraphs, and it's like, here's a better way. And I've taken like 2 paragraphs that were written better, but it can't submit an application for you. And it was a co-pilot, ChatGPT, and I've tested it personally. And actually, ChatGPT is worse than some others in terms of reviewing policy data and stuff like that. So not 99%. I think it's more like 30% maybe can help you on 30% of the So the guy wasn't happy. The sales guy was pissed. But I was like, you can't oversell to nonprofits, right? These are small charity groups. I was like, don't oversell it.
Yeah. What are some other alternatives to ChatGPT?
I did go. If you go to po.com, I have a few AI stuff I'm happy to share on your notes. But I went to po.com, and you can, for free, you can try all these different ones. Ones that are paid, like ChatGPT, you need to pay a bit. But I do like Llama, which is Facebook's or Meta's open source one. And I did try Mistral, and they're actually better than the paid ChatGPT in terms of reviewing policy documents. So just tested this out. With Llama and Mistral, you can type in, like, what are my permitted uses for a religious site? And it'll actually find the zoning section and spit out, and the official plan section, and spit out the uses, where ChatGPT kept getting confused. ChatGPT 4, so it's not as good at consuming what we call knowledge-based information. So if you have like private information, or you have a policy document or a book, I like that. And then I know there's a new one with I'm blanking out, the old API, Open AI guys just released a new competing platform out there. But there's I think every 2 weeks there's a new competing AI that gets released. So that the tech is driving so fast that ChatGPT 4 was great in September, and now Llama and Mistral is the new one. And I think that there's more AIs are coming out, which could replace all of that by next month. So, but Llama and Mistral are free, and I think I don't find that it works fine for what I used it for. And I'll give you the link for the Toronto zoning and the official plan. You can try it out for free, and it meets our needs. So yeah, I think it's those are kind of the new stuff up. Gemini by Google and Elon Musk's XAI, I heard, is not as good, and so I haven't tried it out yet. But it is on po.com, and you can just 3 clicks try different AIs. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's exciting. I see they have Claude on there,
which
is usually American based.
Yeah, Claude I think just released something, and I think there's a French group that's releasing a new AI bot, and then ChatGPT is releasing 4.5, I think, in the next few months too. So right, you saw the robot. I don't know, did you guys see that robot that can do your dishes and listen to your commands now with OpenAI?
No, I mean,
there's a new video.
These robots are like evolving. I saw one doing backflips, and I was like, there goes the stunt industry, I guess.
It's pretty cool. It's a little hyped. right? It's not going to start, replacing your house cleaner or something like that. But
Yeah.
the tech is evolving. It has new data analytics. I can talk about that later. It's some of the new stuff is pretty impressive, actually. It can do crazy analytics than I thought, and I did test some of that out. So.
Okay.
So as AI becomes more prevalent in the planning process and development, do you think there should be specific regulations or guidelines in place to govern its use? And if
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And if yes, like what would those look like?
I don't think they need to regulate that for the planning policy group. It's more of a privacy issue, right? If you're scared, like all planning policy documents are open public, right? They're all regulations are open. They're owned by the crown, but you can do whatever you want with it. So like a planning act or something like that. And all of these are public information. So I think AI will help disseminate and digest and provide better summaries for stakeholders. So I think it'll be better. Yeah, right now you can't submit anything without a certified planner, right? Or a certified engineer. So the regulations in place don't allow an AI to submit anything, or it's the liabilities on the planner, the professional planner. So I think the regulation in place is already there. If someone suddenly allows AI to start submitting for you, then that's a problem. But I think the AI issue right now is the privacy issue around personal data or social media data, and I definitely think that needs to be regulated. And it's wild west. But for planning and real estate, I don't think so, unless I just really don't see, unless private data is somehow being uploaded. But urban planning is all public information. Even a development application is public, right? You can look at all the designs, blueprints. Those aren't hidden. So if you, unless it's like person's age and background, then that starts being a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Problem, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the pre-submission process, because I know a lot of the pre-submission is they view it to be private, or like they don't want it to be public. So a lot of the planning firms are non-for-profits, but it's going to be public anyways. So
those technically are public, right? You could ask for pre-consultation meetings. You can look at their logs of when they came in, and you could ask them for it. And they could argue that it's private, but it's not, right? It's a consultation with the city, and those are all public. They would have to, like, if you FOI them or something like that, they would have to provide that. So that, and even real estate information, like it's just like discussion about your height or what you would have to put in there. That's not really a privacy issue there. So unfortunately, I don't think so, but I think some other people do, and that my ideas are sometimes I contrast to what the industry thinks.
I even think with the people that might have a problem with it, they gotta evaluate the trade-offs. Do you want to wait 2 years, or do you want to cut the time for 6 months? Because some of these things take up to 2 years. All these tools can help us cut it down, because a lot of the, I guess, excuses or the reasons behind it is like there's not enough understaffed, or it just takes a long time to process this information. But now what's the excuse if the tools cut it from like 2 days to a day or a few hours?
Yeah, you could. I know even jobs, right? Before AI came out, they would just do keyword searches and stuff like that. But if they, maybe that's a good point. Maybe if they start using AI to skip out on due diligence, right? Then that would be a problem. But right now, I believe the certified planner would have to review it. And if they can't say, "Oh, my AI didn't tell me," right? The liability is on them, right? Because they sign off on it. And when I was working for the government, I'd have to sign off on the staff report, and it's on me. If I shortcut it, then I'm liable. But that could be dangerous if people start going, I don't want to review all these documents, or the government pressures you, say, oh, you have to review 200 applications in a week instead of the classic 80, because we're trying to save on staff and AI can replace it. Then maybe a regulation that you're not allowed to use AI to sign off on stuff. That could be a problem. I never thought of that. Good point.
And so you gave examples like Poe and other platforms that you use or are recommending, but I'm curious if there's for other planners that were trying to access resources or tools to begin their journey into AI and urban planning, especially if they're interested in leveraging platforms like Map Your Property. Do you have any starting platforms or tools that they should look into besides Poe, I suppose?
Yeah, for AI, Poe is actually it aggregates all the AI, and so and ChatGPT, if you pay the $20, same as Claude, you just simply go in. You can make a custom bot. I borrowed this from the internet. It was ZDNet, had a 5-step process, and you can say attachment, and you can upload any. I wouldn't recommend private, but any public documents. Like I uploaded Toronto zoning and official plan, and you have to be patient, but that's the easiest way, is just play with it's 3 clicks. You create your custom bot, you upload the attachment, and then you can write different questions to it. I'll be like, oh, what's CX-4 zoning in Ottawa or something like that. That's not a correct zoning in Ottawa, but I'm just making it up. And you can see how it like answers you, and you can like prompt it to see if it can get smarter. And I had to try different models actually, because some models were totally wrong, or they couldn't find the information. And so completely free, except if you want to pay for ChatGPT 4, and you can upload. I uploaded 300 pages, and it worked on it. It took about overnight to index it, but yeah, it's so easy now, and there's no risk. The second one, we are partnering up with Giraffe.build, and we're streaming our data, and it's this cool 3D massing. You can go on any property and mass in the web browser, any townhouse, apartment. One of our clients wanted to go from 5 to 7, and you can press the button twice to go to 7 stories, and it does these renderings really on the go, and it's kind of like replacing the architectural design concepts. And then APRO, APRAO, is the new construction cost estimation software. And instead of doing these crazy Excel models that requires accountants or financial background, you can plug in all your construction costs, and you can even estimate your revenue against your costs. So a lot of nonprofits are doing purpose-built rentals, and they're like, oh, if I put low income, so if I put 40% low income and 60% market, can I pay for these affordable housings? And you can like project 10 years. So Giraffe.build and APRO, who we partner with, their Giraffe is free. APRO just is a month free, but we're trying to get it for affordable housing for free. And those platforms are just crazy, also like night and day solutions for planners, and they can check it out. Giraffe, you draw 1 line or 2 lines, and this wizard can build you like 2 or 3 story complex right in the web browser.
Wow.
So
yeah,
that tech is pretty cool now.
Yeah.
Our clients, our nonprofits love this, because they don't have to pay a design firm like 30 grand to do concepts they're not even too sure about, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's part of the, I guess, the hesitancy where there's a little reticence to, jump into or even think or dream about doing such projects. You're like, oh, even the due diligence and the background work you need to do to even create your vision or even start proposing your ideas to the city is a lot. It costs a lot of money. So
yeah, I think it's like, we looked at some, it's 700,000 up to $1 million in soft cost due diligence.
Yeah.
And to that, like we had a group that wanted to do, they changed their designs 4 times. They had like some office retail, they had 5 stories, then they went to 7, and then they showed the city the renderings that we made for them in the web browser, right? And I got an actual grad, like a Ryerson 3rd-year student to do it for within 30 minutes. And they were able to show that to council, and once again get a thumbs up for that, and they got 0 parking, which is cool. Like you need to go get a design firm. They do all the renderings. You're not like, if you went from 5 to 7 stories, that's another 5,000 amendment, and they're not even too sure. What if the council said, no, we don't want this here? So I think that new tech, that simple tech, non-AI tech is really cool. I'm personally seeing the saving
Mhm.
to nonprofits and even developers. They're loving it.
Interesting. We'll show these websites soon,
Yeah,
near the
yeah,
end of
no
the.
problem.
We'll go through them.
They're all free. All of them are. Most of them are, including our platform. You can try out for free. So there's no, a lot of planners who just want to try new tech. They're
Mhm.
like, I don't want to get approval from my boss. I don't want to put my personal credit card down, right? You don't have to do that for any of this stuff.
Awesome. That's really cool. And then for those who are interested in getting into the prop tech, those urban entrepreneurs or those planning entrepreneurs, what suggestions do you have to take that first step? What do they need to consider?
Yeah, I mean, when I started out, and even when I'm trying the AI, I'm not building some crazy AI model.
Mhm.
Take your time.
Sorry, yeah, I'll just.
Yeah,
What was the question again? Let's redo that. I got it in the middle.
yeah, man. Take your time.
Repeat the question.
For sure. What advice would you give? What advice would you give aspiring planners or urban entrepreneurs to take their first steps into prop tech and creating tools and whatnot?
Yeah, great kind of. I like that entrepreneurial question. Yeah, I think if you're into tech is much cheaper. You don't really need to, blow $10,000, $20,000. Like my first product was the MVP, and I just used out of the box software to add all these map layers instead of the binder, which was frustrating people, and I gave it to all my colleagues. So it's a slow, free app, and I had to put all the files on each of the computers and I had to go to each of the computers. But they loved it because they didn't have to go through the binders. And those are what you call MVP. Like, is your idea good or does it suck? And you can just try that with your friends. Build something simple, something out of the box, something minimal, and you can test it out. Same as AI. You can pay $20 or even free, upload 300-page documents and like do some prompts and refine it. And then I gave it to some of my friends to see how they liked it. And and I was like, hey, what do you think? And like, what's the usage, right? So I think that's kind of the cool thing, is that you can do a lot of this early testing to see if your idea is good. I've done a few ideas that suck or failed.
Yeah.
Right. So but you want to test those out. That's the thing. If you want to be an entrepreneur, test it with your colleagues, test it with your friends, family. I tested it with my mother. She's horrible at tech. And she was like, I don't understand this or this. And if my mother can't understand it, then it's not good technology. Right. So that's how you start off with. You don't need to, go raise like $3 million and then quit your job and then try to hire 5-6 AI people. You can build AI pretty quickly, and any concepts you can, even one concept we even drew out. We just drew out the concepts, like high fidelity designs, and our clients thought it was a real website, but it's just like designs linked together in Figma. And that's when I knew you can test these ideas out without building anything. You can just do these cool designs, link them, and the customer or your friends don't even know the difference, right? So, you don't want to build something without understanding what the need is, right? So that's what I recommend.
What are some beginner programs or out of the box softwares that people can use?
Yeah, I mean, Python. I mean, if you're doing any data or any map, you should use Python. We've actually shifted away from all the other code. There is, Mapbox, Google Maps. We use open source software that you can install on your desktop, like GeoServer. And those are all free. And there is ESRI, which is like a map platform. And I think you can get an online map for free if it's public. So start with a lot of those softwares out there, right? Like, and test your idea and see if you can automate only small parts of it. And then that'll help you out. But yeah, Python and Tableau, Power BI can do a lot of stuff. Those are data analytics softwares. Like if you have a lot of real estate financial data or GIS data, you can intersect it, like you said. You can intersect the table with your GIS data, and Tableau and Power BI are free, or you can get a student version, and they're pretty cheap. And you can like see if this works. It might be slow, but the concept, you can test the concept out once again, right? So
Sure.
lot of just Google. That's what I do all the time. I Google at night. It drives my wife nuts. I'll be Googling around at like 2 a.m. or I'll think of idea in the shower and I'll think of it and then I'll get out of the shower, write it down. And that's how I kind of find those softwares or new tech that would work. You just kind of search around at night until you find it. Probably not a good idea if you have a significant partner out there who would get annoyed about your research at night, but
did you have any prior experience with mapping GIS, coding Python before you kind of took this venture, or did you kind of learn it independently? You found it quite easy? How did that process look for you?
Oh, great question. People laugh at this. I used to work in Australia for koala habitats. So we look at like the koala needs to eat eucalyptus, right? And be near water. Well, surprisingly, I would do these mapping for these koala habitats, and you realize people are the same. They need to be near food and water, right? Right? If you're like in the middle of nowhere, people get upset, right? So I did a lot of this mapping for koala habitats, coral reefs, and it's the same concept actually. People are like animals, right? The further away you are from transit or food, the less value it gets, and the angrier the koala or the person gets. So I did a lot of this in Australia. Degradation. You can map away from the water source or the transit source. Your value degrades as you get further away. And my original app was like an environmental app. Like it would check all the environmental impacts and all the wetlands or forest stuff. But I realized that wasn't as much of a moneymaker as real estate and housing. So I kind of pivoted there. But that's kind of, I do have a GIS and mapping background. I have an extensive one. And then programming, I taught all myself. I can read code. I can do AWS servers. I can't spin up cloud services, but I understand all the cloud services. I taught myself the AI stuff. I just watched a lot of YouTube videos, and read about all the medium.com has some great data science sources. And it tells you like, oh, what's the difference between Llama, Claude, Mistral, Gemini, XAI? Like I don't have time to look through that code, but they summarize it. And that's a great way to learn. Personally, I think Python, you can self-teach yourself. It's pretty simple. It's like how you think. But yeah, so the tech I've self-taught, and then the GIS mapping I have a background.
Yeah. So if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
All the information's out there for people to learn.
Yeah. And today there's a lot of tools that you don't need to know programming. You can just be like, go do this, right? So ChatGPT, you can upload Excel file and be like, I've done this. I want all development applications from 2001 to 2002, and I want you to make me a bar chart. And that it spits out the code for you. It's not perfect, of course, right? But you can do a lot of stuff without coding today. It's helpful if you want to code, but if you're an urban planner or have no background, then I don't think you need to teach yourself Python to get into the business, right? So, yeah.
And I would say that for context, I also have a background like in GIS and Python, and especially from a spatial like analysis like lens, how to use it. And then I did like some like computer science and like my youth as well. So like I would tell people that I think when you talk about like tech and like AI and it sounds really scary and it seems very difficult, but I think when it's for me, it's a lot about like logic and like patterns, I think.
Mhm.
So I feel like once you learn the basics, you can just build on it for anything else. Like you're saying, you can use ChatGPT to, spit out a code. And at one point, that's where I guess the human lens and your own self-learning comes in. So you can identify
Yeah.
if the code is bad or not, and see any
Yeah.
issues that come up. But honestly, half of coding at one point is like Stack Exchange and like going online and
Yes,
asking
Stack
other people
Exchange.
questions.
Yes, exactly. I
So
mean,
yeah, you're not alone if you're having issues, but just give it a try. I think it's worth a shot. Yeah.
yeah, look at that. She has comp sci background, GIS. We need to hang out more in that pink room. Like that's the ideal person I love hanging out with. But
Awesome.
yeah, but yeah, like you don't need to know. You're not building a crazy like bot out there. You can use the current technology. But like 10 years ago when I was looking into we're looking into like satellite imagery and picking up building footprints, that was like crazy hard to do. And I couldn't figure out the algorithm. And there's some tools out there. You can like Whitebox out of University of Waterloo. You can put the satellite imagery in, and you can be like, grab me all land uses or grab me all buildings in the satellite imagery, and it already has a library that will recognize that stuff. Like, clearly a building is a gray square.
Yeah.
And so that's why today it's so much easier to get into that stuff. There's some great tech out there that, like you said, logically just go. I think it's called Find Me Building Footprints, and you just be like, find me building footprints. You put in the sat imagery and you put in another component, and then it'll go do it for you.
Yeah.
Where when me and you, like you guys probably started, that stuff wasn't around, right? Like you would have to write some crazy algorithm. I looked into that, and the algorithm would be crazy hard to do. It'd take me a year to build. And now today it's like one line.
Yeah.
It just happened so quickly. Like
Yeah.
it was only a couple of years, and
Next thing you know,
the undergrad experience is probably completely different from like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, the undergrads use our platform. They're like, oh, I didn't want to do the studio thing. And so we signed up for your platform, and it like kind of figured out what I needed to do.
That's funny.
Well, then on that note, understanding that, this tech space is changing so fast, but yeah, what are some other developments or trends do you foresee in the prop tech industry, especially around like mapping and data analytics, that maybe other folks should have on their radar so they can maybe get ahead of the curve if they can try? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think AI is great. We're testing out an AI thing with a lot of those office intelligence people. We'll scan council minutes. It'd grab all the council minutes, and then it'd grab all the real estate development or the housing development automatically. And we found in earlier tests, it can scan through huge amounts of documents. And we actually looked at this a year ago, try to use a AWS textraction and classification, and the tech wasn't there. And now the new AI stuff, it's called natural language processing. It can look at textual documents much quicker and summarize it at a much accurate rate. And I would say if you follow in the next 6 months, the accuracy is even going to get better and better and better. And so I think that's some game changer. You could upload a document and it can summarize a whole legislation for you, or go find sections that cite religious sites or affordable housing. I tested this with a 600-page official plan, and that speed is just amazing. Once again, got to check the accuracy. It sometimes hallucinates, but I'd say in 2 to 3 months, right? Sometimes they were like lies to you, right? You're like, wait, that's not right. Like it just pulls from another source, and you're like, no, I specified this source. But I think that's the new thing for us. It's going to save us. We were trying to pull council minutes and analyze them, and we couldn't figure out how to write that algorithm. And now the llama can do that. Like it can go through all 800, and you don't have to. It's what you call like training. Originally, we thought we'd have to train machine learning. You have to change 100,000 documents and tag each line, like get like 30 people and tag all 100,000 documents. And we're like, this would take us way too much manual time for the training. But now the AI, the pre-training it has embedded in it is pretty sufficient, and it's getting better. So I think that's the new hot thing, and the reward is pretty amazing. Still needs a bit more test. We're testing that a bit more. But I saw a paper that the professors, I think in Columbia, put all the legal documents into Claude. I think it was Claude, and they now have this crazy database of legal precedents in this. And they showed some success with that, and I didn't think that was possible, but they proved it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's
Wow.
the new cool stuff coming out.
It's really cool. This is great.
Oh.
Do you have any extra questions, Alex?
Well, I guess it's, how can listeners, learn more about Map Your Property, like stay updated on your work and, potentially get involved and use the platform? You've given bits and pieces here, but just like shout out your platforms.
On my platform?
Yeah.
I mean, follow us on, you can follow us on LinkedIn at Map Your Property. So MAPYOUR Property. I think that's how this podcast heard of us. I post almost daily on new AI stuff I'm testing, new maps that are coming out, new regulations. So follow me, Devin Tu, on LinkedIn, or check out our website. If you sign up for free on MapYourProperty.com or Affordable360.com, you can get, any student, nonprofit, or government gets it completely free, and we give about, a month free for any real estate people. So try it out. And once again, best way is LinkedIn. I respond to LinkedIn within, say, 10 minutes. And a lot of people reach out to me just on random questions, and I'm happy to give my support. People are like, oh, what do you think of this new AI thing? Or what about the new Durham region official plan? Happy to any range of anything related to maps or data, I can help out on. So
that's awesome. I'm curious, are you also open to prop tech or AI collaboration for anyone interested, or are your hands too full?
No, we're working with 2 prop tech companies that I mentioned on this podcast, and they do great on design and construction, and we're great on planning and data. So we've collaborated 2 or 3. We're collaborating with ASHA, AMFA, and CADCO, and these are big nonprofit associations. So we collaborate with anybody. People ping me on different ideas all the time. So I think we already talked about collaboration.
Yeah.
So happy to. We have the capacity. We also especially have a mandate from the feds to collaborate with others to be able to scale across Canada. So
that's amazing.
also kind of a need from our government funders. So ping me.
Amazing.
No idea is crazy. I might tell you if it's crazy, but I've responded to almost every message I get. So
that's awesome.
Excited.
Before you go, I would like to go through some of these websites just so people are familiar with them and make sure they're the right ones and they don't get scammed. Share my screen.
I just want to say there's a funny, we talked about so many animals, but in reference to all these different AIs, there was giraffe, there was what's the other one? Koalas, we're talking about the other one.
We're talking about koalas, yes.
Yeah. Monkeys, all the
monkeys,
names.
Yeah. I don't know why, but people like metaphors with animals because it makes it makes it pretty funny. Yes.
Wait.
I've had that.
So this is, can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Giraffe, love these guys. They're Australian-based company. We're using it in Canada and the US, and it can do 3D massing. See that massing right there? They're penciling in a condo, and it's great to de-risk yourself. So we stream our local data into their giraffe for all Canadians, right? So I'll see all that parcel data. We have that for only parcel data that's open, of course, but we can stream all that in, and we actually support real estate and affordable housing on getting onboarded, and like our platform, you can render something in 3-4 clicks. So love that new tech. Love what they do there.
And then this is Poe.
Yeah, Poe is completely free. You log in with Google. You can see, look, there's Claude, Mistrial. You can click on any of those, and then see, there's even the paperclip button. On that search area. once you add it, you can add hit the paperclip button and upload any of your documents. Yeah, you can just try to upload it, and I tried 300 pages. I wouldn't try 300, but yeah, you can 300. I've tried 800 pages. You can try, I tried all 4 or 5 of them, and I upload the same document and see which one broke. Like some of them don't, some of them cry, are not your friend. But yeah, you can try all of them and completely free. What I like about Poe is you can share it with other people for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you have ChatGPT 4, I try to share it, and then you needed a subscription also. Your end user needed a subscription. I was like, well, that's like they're not going to pay $20 to. Yeah. So this one's free.
Yeah.
I can send you guys the hyperlinks to put in your podcast notes, but I made some cool Poe AI bots. Yeah,
that'd be great.
I like Poe, and then and then Map Your Property right here. This is our real estate division, but if you're an affordable housing group, just put in the department affordable housing, and you can try, regardless, you can try it out for a month. If you're a real estate developer, all of our revenue from real estate development goes to supporting affordable housing. So that's why we're able to keep it for free. And so we're not, it allows us to, Habitat for Humanity that we're working with, we can use that revenue from commercial side to support the servers on the nonprofit side. So yeah, that we have that. And then APRO, APRAO, that's our affordable site. Sorry, we'll talk about this. Really cool. We have some new government lands data. So if you click Access Platform button right there, it shows all public government lands. We have Alberta, we have Ottawa, and all GTHA. So we're really trying to encourage people to, if you search Toronto, jump to Toronto. But these are all government lands, and so these are all opportunities. You can be like, hey, this is great for housing or affordable housing, right? You can build on this empty parking lot, here, and you can lobby your MP, or we're trying to help find these opportunities. So yeah, check this site out. I know Minister Fraser's been, talking about how he's going to build on federal lands. It's going to take a lot of load because you're share screening, but he's like, oh, we're going to build on all federal land opportunities. And the purple is only the federal lands. There's actually not too much in Toronto. You can see those purples. But really lower tier, or the city, is the ones that have the lands to build on, and they can give it for $1. And that way, since you're not paying, say, $10 million for land, which is what a Tridel or a Minto would do, they can use that $10 million and pay the $1 and put it toward low-income housing or subsidizing that. So this took us 2 years to build out. It's free. It's supported by jointly with Dr. David Amborski at TMU Ryerson. And he ran around to every single municipality in the GTHA in Ottawa, Halifax, Edmonton, Alberta, Calgary, and Vancouver, and got all this data. And some cities go, oh, how did you get the data? We don't even have the data, which is funny. That one city doesn't even know what lands they own, right?
That's
crazy.
So check out those sites. They're all free, and they're all like super cool to look at. They're cool mapping or cool design stuff.
That's great. So in summary, AI is a great tool for planners. Will help you if you know what you're doing. And check out Devin's stuff. Great information. His LinkedIn's awesome. I've been looking at it every time it pops up for the past few months. So much to learn. So thank you so much, Devin.
Yeah,
and thank you for everyone listening. Subscribe, like, all the fun YouTube stuff.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah.